made it easy for you to access your labs. All you have to do is go here to the home page and click here to access your labs. Now I would recommend that you bookmark this page. This is where you will actually log in and begin working on your labs, but that's up to you. You can always log into D2L and do it this way. You can see that I have already registered, so I can't walk you through my registration process, but I do need to walk you through a registration. So here you register for MOAC Labs Online. You click on register and you need to create an account. So let's see, we're going to do Sally Midlands, and her email is going to be sm@gmail.com. I'm just making this up. And the password, we have to give it a password. Make sure you use a complex password. That means 7 or more characters. You need to have uppercase letters, lowercase letters, a special character, and a number. Well, all throughout this course, you're going to be using exactly the same password to log into your labs. Not to log into the labs themselves, but actually log into the servers that you'll be working on. And that password is what we're going to use right now. Capital P, A, $$W, the number 0, RD. We'll confirm that. P, A, $$W, the number 0, RD. And then finally, for security, they want to see the text that we see here. So it's MERIDIAN space LORICK, and we can register. Now, this is where that account that you have purchased from Wiley, or that you got within your book when you bought your book from the bookstore, this is where you actually enter your code. You enter it in exactly as it is given to you. You click on Add Code, and then down here under Lab, you will actually see your lab. Now, one more thing that I want you to see here is under My Account. This is extremely important. If you click on My Account and go down here to the bottom where it says Update Your RDP Preferences, make sure that the radio button for Use HTML5 is selected. Update your preference and stick with that one. If you use ActiveX, you can only use Internet Explorer with 7 or older to complete the labs. So if you're using Internet Explorer 10, or like I prefer to use Chrome, some people like Firefox, others are using Safari because they have a Mac, any of these will work as long as you have HTML5. So make sure that you've selected HTML5. Also, My Labs, I'll show you this in just a minute in mine. Once you have actually put in your codes, they will show up here under My Labs. But let's go back now. Sally Midlands is set up, and so she's ready to log into her account. But I'm going to log in for her so that you can look at these labs. So what do they actually look like? Here we go. You see now I have my MOAC 70-411. Make sure that you purchase the code for R2. If you don't have the R2, your labs are different and you will not do well in the class because they will not match. This is for the server class CPT 209. The MOAC 70-413 R2 is for CPT 255, and the MOAC 70-680 is for CPT 176. And you can see these are my labs. Don't worry about my classrooms. Don't sign up for a classroom. You are not taking the class from Wiley. You're taking it from us. Wiley will want some more of your money if you decide to register a classroom and try to get into one of their classes. So don't do that. All right, here you see all of the labs listed. These are listed from 1 down to lab 22. And each one of these will obviously be important as you're moving through your course. Let's look at lab 1 to begin with. Lab details is how you get into it. Here it tells us that it's probably going to take about 120 minutes, and you're going to learn about deploying Windows servers. So let's take the lab. Our content is being loaded, and one more time, let me just remind you, you need the R2 version. Also, as it's launching our lab, we are literally logging into a server. It's at Wiley's complex somewhere. It is a It is the full server software on a virtual machine. So we are literally using the Windows Server software. Nice thing is you don't have to come to campus to do it. You're doing it at home probably right now, and that works very well. Looking at this screen, you can see then we are at the login page of a virtual server. If you look up here, the one that we are actually at the login page for right now is RWDC01. That is the domain controller in this network. The other computers that are available to us for this lab are right here. Here you see the RWDC01, Server 01, and Server 02. So we need 3 servers to complete the lab. Every computer that you need to successfully complete the lab will be right here in this drop down. Now I happen to know when we start this lab that we're going to need Server 01 to start with, so I'm just going to go ahead and connect us to Server 01. All 3 of these servers are networked, so they do talk to each other. Now, I had a serious blonde moment with this press Control-Alt-Delete to sign in. If you do that on your keyboard right now, you'll discover that you are looking at the task management screen of your computer, not this server. So the way to actually log in and press Control-Alt-Delete is to come over here under Actions. And with Actions, there's the Control-Alt-Delete that you need. So we can start our lab right there. We'll do that in just a minute. One more thing you need is the guide on how on earth am I going to complete this lab, right? That's under Files. So here's the lab manual. It's a Word document. We're going to go ahead and download it and open it up. And here it is. We're going to enable editing. Goodness, oh, I already had it open. I'm going to close this one. This is only the 6th or 7th time that I've recorded this lab for you guys. So I hope it does help you. Okay, so here is the actual lab manual, and this is also the document with which you are going to submit your lab into the Dropbox. I'll show you how I try at least to make that pretty easy for you. So Lab 1, deploying and managing server images. You see that there are 5 exercises plus a lab challenge to complete this lab. It gives you a description of the environment. Then here it shows you the computers that are required for this lab. As you see, just as we saw under the servers up here, RWDC01, Server 01, and Server 02. Additionally, the software that's required for the lab. All of the software that you need for any of these labs you're going to find on RWDC01 in the software file folder. So everything is provided to you here. As we go down, here is exercise 1. And so we're going to go ahead and start working our way through this lab. It says log on to Server 01 as Contoso administrator with the password, see what I tell you, capital P A $$W 0 RD. So we're going to go ahead and do that. We need to be the Contoso administrator. So the first thing I do is go under Actions, select Control-Alt-Delete, select Administrator, and now my password is capital P A $$W 0 RD, and enter. And now we're going into this lab. Again, we are literally logging into a server. So it comes up with the Server Manager dashboard. Let's go back to our instructions to see what we do next. We are going to, on the Server Manager console, click Manage, then Add Roles and Features, and then you see we're going to click Next, Next, and Next because we're going to accept the defaults. So let's go to Server Manager, and we go Manage, Add Roles and Features. This is the Before You Begin page. This exact same page comes up every time. Read it once, then don't worry about it. We go to Next. The default for this lab is role-based or feature-based installation. We go to Next. And the server on which we're doing the installation is server01.contoso.com. So we can select Next. Now let's go back to our instructions. So we've done our next. Here we scroll down and select Windows Deployment Services, and then on the Add Roles and Features wizard page, click Add Features. So we scroll down here, we find Windows Deployment Services. You'll find these lists are always in alphabetical order, which helps a lot. Add Features. Now you see this is checked, so we've done what we're supposed to do, and we click Next. Here, let's make sure we read this completely. Alright, we've Windows Deployment Services, Add Roles and Features. On the Select Features page, click Next. On the WDS page, click Next. So let's go here, we click Next. We're on the WDS page, we click Next, read it once. Then it tells us to make sure that Deployment Server option is selected and the Transport Server option is selected, and then click Next. Then on the Confirm Installation page, we're going to click Install. So let's go back to here. We do have Deployment Server and Transport Server selected, so we select Next. And here we do not want to restart the server, so we just click on Install. And now it's actually going to start installing the Windows Deployment Services. And it's doing it, as you can see here, on server 01, contoso.com. And this little progression bar will move across while we're working our way through completing this installation. Sometimes this is like watching grass grow or paint dry, but typically, as you can see, it's fairly fast on these servers. One thing you will find is at the different times of the day or different days of the week, it may slow down. That may be when the most students are working on their labs and they're being hit heavily at the Wiley site. So you do want to be aware of that. There we go. That's complete. Let's make sure we're supposed to click Close next. Yep, on the Confirm Installation, click Install. When the installation finishes, click Close. So let's go ahead and click Close, and that is done. Back to our manual. In Server Manager, now we click Tools, Windows Deployment Services, and the Windows Deployment Services console opens. So we go up here. Again, first we clicked Manage. Now we're going to Tools. We want Windows Deployment Services. And here we are with the window open. So our next step, expand servers and right-click on Server 01 and choose Configure Server. So we come right here, we expand that, we see Server 01, so you point to Server 01 over here. You'll discover if you do a right mouse click over here versus a right mouse click over here, you'll get different options many times. So point here to Server 01, do a right mouse click, and we're going to configure the server. Alright, looks like we've got another Before You Begin page. Read it once, then we click Next, and let's go back to our instructions to make sure we're doing it right. On the Install Options page, select the Integrated with Active Directory option and then click Next. So we go here, we want to make sure Integrated with Active Directory is selected. We click Next, and here is our remote installation folder location. This is important, be sure you remember it. Let's go back here now, and it says on the remote installation folder location page, take a screenshot by pressing Alt Print Screen and then paste it into your lab worksheet file in the page provided. Well, I don't want you to worry about a lab worksheet file. We're not using those. We just have our lab manual. And so what I want you to do is actually go to the end of that statement or that step, hit enter a couple of times, and we are going to print the screen and paste it right there. So we go here, we hit Alt Print Screen or whatever command is required for your computer, pull the lab manual back up, and right here we're going to hit Control V and we install our screen capture. Oops, doesn't look right, does it? Did we make a mistake? Did we mess it up? No, you didn't. Watch what we need to do. Come up here until you have the crossed arrows. Now you can see that the actual image is there, what we need to do is come over here to this little guide for layout options, and we want to either have it be square, tight, through, you don't want it in front or behind the text, or top and bottom. Let's go ahead and select top and bottom. Now we have it in place. It did move up a little bit, so I'm going to move it down to right there. I love koalas, so you can see I have a double screen, and that's my koala screensaver. What we can do, if you do have the double screen like this, all you have to do is hover over the image, do a right mouse click, and you can crop. Where did it go? Ah, there it is right there. Crop. We can crop the image. You can get rid of that second screen. Just hit enter. Now you've got your actual screenshot there. Just make it bigger, because when the format you submit it to me in, I do not have the ability to make that bigger, and that's going to hurt you on your grade. What I need to always see is the date and time that's right down here on your image, as well as the exact image that you're supposed to have captured as you work through your labs. Also, make sure that I see your Microsoft Labs Online and this, which is saying that it's the 70-411R2 Lab 1. I need to see all of that. So I need to see what's up here, and I need to see date and time, and then of course the appropriate screen capture. Let's keep working through. Now you see you have some questions. What is the default path for the remote installation folder? If you remember, we just saw that. And so to answer your questions for submission to me, just go within the question box, hit to turn your text red, and hit the answer. It was C:/remote installation. And there's the answer. You come down to question 2, why is the location not recommended? If you don't know why, the place to look is actually in your book. So you can look up the answer in your book. Don't tell me to look it up in your book for you. You got to look it up and make sure that you give me the answer. All right, we've answered those questions. Now we could keep on working through the lab, but we're not going to do that. I would keep you up on here for far too long. Here you see is another requirement for a screenshot. So once again, I'm just going to put in the same screenshot that I just did, but I'm going to hit enter twice. I'm going to print screen for that step so that I have the Deployment Services Configuration Wizard page up, and then I'm going to hit Control V. My image is there. When I hover over it and get the little cross, I click, and I can wrap my text. I want it up top and bottom. There it is. Now I can crop it if need be, get it over here, make it bigger, by dragging this, and now you can see my image. Okay? As you work through the lab, you see that we will have finished this exercise. Oh, I do need to drag this down here. Yeah, there we go. And then we continue working through the lab. You see here is another question to be answered, another one. And as we work down here, there is, don't worry, I am not fooled by these, so don't worry about them. Here's another screen capture that needs to go in place. Now the last step, after you have fully completed this lab, oh, let's just go down here and look at this quickly for a minute. All the way down here, you'll see that there are reflection questions, and there is a lab challenge. These are optional to you. I think you're smart if you would just read through these and kind of answer these in your mind, but you do not have to submit them to me. Also, the lab challenge. This is an excellent challenge to become more familiar with this server and how to use it. I do not require it. If you really want to get the most out of this class, I recommend that you do it. That, however, is totally up to you. So let's say we have completed this lab. We are now going to complete the final step before submission, and that is to delete everything that doesn't need to be here for your actual submission. So we're going to go up here to the top, leave your Lab 1 deploying and managing server images, start right here, highlight down to the step just that requires your screen capture. So we're going down here to the step that requires the screen capture, we're leaving it on there, and we're deleting the rest. So now we have that step, we have our screen capture, we delete this screen capture, we have our questions, we delete these steps. Now we have the step that requires the screen capture and the screen capture, and let's just go ahead and go down here to the next question. We're deleting all of this. So now you answer question 3, you've answered question 4, and you just keep deleting until the only things that are in this document are your questions and answers, and your screen captures. So it's really going to look like this when you submit it to me. You are then going to save it. And we can close out of this. So we will have actually completed this lab, so we can click on End Lab. We say OK. And then we log off of here, and we're going to go back to D2L. I'm just going to close this. It's quicker and easier. Meet 9 of my 11 grandchildren, and go back into eLearn, sign in, and we're going into CPT 209. We go to the Dropbox, and let me change this to student view. Okay, we go to the Dropbox, we open up Lab 1, we add a file. I have to browse to it. Be sure you name your file something and keep your files very organized. I can't tell you how many times I've had students submit the wrong lab because they didn't have appropriate naming conventions. So I would honestly recommend naming this something like CPT 209 Lab 1 when you save it. That way, and you may want to put it in its own file folder, but that way you know you're getting exactly the right lab. Then you just drag it up here, drop it in place, let it finish uploading, click Add, and it's done. It's there ready for me to grade. And I promise you, well, I can't promise, but I really do try to get your grading done within a week, especially with these first labs. I try to do them almost as soon as you submit them, obviously within a day of when you submit them, so that you know whether or not you're doing them correctly. I would recommend that you do this one a little bit early. That way, if I have suggestions or corrections, you can actually go back, do it again, make sure you get it right, and submit it again. Now, I hope that this has helped you a great deal with the successful completion of these courses. Please remember that both Adrienne Brown and I are here to help you. That's our job. That's why we're here, and we really do want to be able to help you be successful in these courses. So call us if you run into a problem. Call or email. If it's over the weekend, email. I will get back to you. I'm sure that Adrian will as well. We just won't be jumping on it and you won't be getting a response immediately. Give it a little bit of time, but you will get a response. And I hope you're very successful as you complete these courses, and I look forward to working with you over the next 4 weeks. Thank you.